All right. Good morning from here in America, Dallas presently. My name is Remy Dairo. I am the coordinator of the knowledge sharing platform of the World Confederation of Productivity Science under a special assignment for World Academy of Productivity Science. And I have can we mute our mics or do something? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm so excited to be here coordinating this today. I'm excited to see our speakers already on board. And I know a lot of ours are coming from every part of the world. Before I allow my boss to do introduction, I want us to say good morning, good evening from any part of the world you are on your camera, and say good morning from Dallas from me. So let me hear from which country are you from, and let's have your morning, evening, afternoon, or day. I mean, let's have that. Let's go.
Good morning from Chicago.
Okay, right.
From LA.
Good evening from India.
Thank you. All right.
Good morning from Canada.
Thank you. It's really a global program. Okay, who else was coming?
Good evening from India.
Thank you. Awesome. And I'm sure other people are still joining us. I see Michael Dalton, the chairman, is here too, of the World Confederation of Productivity Science, also here. But I mean, I don't want to take time because we are on time box. I want to call the Vice President of the World Academy of Productivity Science to kick us off. One of the Vice Presidents is Dr. Sonny Abro, to take us on introduction of the whole concept. Then we'll kick off our discussion as our speakers are here. And I know many of our invited participants are also joining in right away. So Dr. Sonny, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thanks a lot. Let me welcome all the participants for this session of Knowledge Sharing Forum. I would like to especially welcome our Chairman, WCPS, Mike Diller, and my colleagues in the Knowledge Sharing Forum, Anita and Remy, and the three speakers for the evening today. Thank you very much for being with us today evening. As Professor Sharma was mentioning, this is an event that we are trying to put together with international participation. One of the things that we have tried is to have each of the three speakers coming from different continents. For the last three sessions, we have been able to maintain that, and we hope to maintain that in future. One more feature of this event is that we also support diversity. And therefore, you will find that in each of our events, we have at least one lady speaker. So that's the principle that we have been trying to follow in this forum. Knowledge Sharing Forum is part of the various activities which World Academy of Productivity Sciences undertakes. We are a body of productivity professionals who are under the umbrella of WCPS, World Confederation of Productivity Sciences, which is the apex body for productivity, promotion and development. WAPS, in addition to the Knowledge Sharing Forum, also publishes an e-journal. We will welcome all the participants and the speakers to contribute to our journal so that your knowledge, your expertise, and your wisdom is shared with all the professionals. We also have an activity in the form of inducting eminent professionals as fellows of World Academy of Productivity Sciences. And we would welcome nominations and representations from people across the globe. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this event. Over to you, Remy.
Hey, thank you very much. The Vice President, one of the Vice Presidents of the World Academy of Productivity Science under the World Confederation of Productivity Science that we're here. But I cannot just continue this event without acknowledging my chairman, who is the chairman of the old umbrella of the World Confederation of Productivity Science. It's a mentor, it's a great man, it's a global shaker. and is doing awesomely well in the world of productivity and around the world. And I just wanted to just say, give us a word of go ahead before we go ahead. So Mike Dalton, I want you to go ahead, the chairman of the World Convention of Science. Please go ahead to give us a short introduction.
Well, first I congratulate the organising team. I think it's a very professional event. I think the level of the speakers and the quality of the leaflet speaks for itself. As the group know, I'm currently working with the World Bank on creating specific software tools for evaluating performance in value chains. I'm also working with another UN group on looking at Asia and Africa in terms of effective promotion of products for sale in the European and international markets. I'll have a team member in Europe next week actually looking at this. All of this depends on productivity. It depends on your competitiveness within a country. If you want to seek a effective maximum price, and this for me always depends on human capacity. So my own, I have another World Congress in September where capacity building is a key part of this, and I welcome an event like this, which brings international experts from different countries to actually give a view. I also see that India will outstrip China in terms of population, as I have backed India as the think tank for me for the future in terms of its innovation skill. It's nice to see Sunil and the other members from India there, because I believe that they'll actually demonstrate that they do have better critical thinking capacity. So I pass it over to the group, but I thank the group very much, which is Anita, Sunil, Remy, and I think that in the background there's always Michael Shepherd, so he might not be, officially holding a pose, but he's the main guy. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, the chairman of the World Convention of Productivity Science. I don't want to also go ahead quickly. I don't know if Dr. Shepherd, Mike Shepherd, have something to just say hello, because when we kick off now, we'll not be able to go back to do all the introduction. And it's one of the member of the advisory board, Dr. Mike Shepherd, please, just to say hello to us, then we'll go ahead. If you want to do that, thank you. Go ahead. All right.
Well, thank you very much, Remy, and other people. Michael, it's been a while since I've seen you in the flesh, at least. Anyways, looking forward to today's forum. There's a lot of information to be shared, different viewpoints, and I'm looking forward to learning about vocational education and how that can help with leading to prosperity. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for all the goodwill, and then giving us go ahead to start today. And because of my time, I'm going to kick this off immediately. I want to say thank you very much for all of us coming around today, especially our guest speakers who are here. So I'm going to hit it straight on the head. This is the third knowledge sharing forum we'll be having at the World Academy of Productivity Science under the auspices of the World Convention of Productivity Science, and we've been doing this. I want to appreciate my colleague who are also my teammates who has also been part of this to make this happen. And this edition, we are looking at education. And what we have been doing from day one is to look at the Sustainable Development Goal as a way it's affecting our world, especially from the productivity perspective. How productive are these goals? How can we take this home? How can we take some of these goals home and say, okay, how can we measure? How can we look into it and see how productive these goals are? And which I think is the focus of the world. I know at a point it was a global development goal, then it became sustainable. So how can this be sustainable? And that's our key focus. So this edition, we're looking at education. And then we had a meeting and said, okay, education. We have different levels of education. In fact, Dr. Sone was trying to educate me on education, the different levels of education. So, I said, wow, he was doing that for me. And I think you guys are experts in the area of education. And when we're now picking who to be a speaker, we have to drag in and in and out. We have to argue who should be on board, especially who will not just give us the theoretical angle, who can give us the practical angle to education, especially as it affects productivity of our world. So let me just read something little, because I know all of us here, we are all knowledge workers, we are experts in this area, but I say Sustainable Development Goal 4 is education, and it's about quality education. It's among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations in September 2015. And then what they are looking at is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. So learning, there's a learning in the classroom. Oh, there has been curriculum over the years of getting students to go and work, to go and get jobs, to go and get career, to go and get get job, and then get blue collar job, white collar job, as the case may be. But the world is changing, and we're looking at productivity. How productive has it been over the years, and how else can we take this? And because we are a global organization, we are looking at this platform to be able to come up with a paper, and then we can write the word, we can write United Nations. So no, we have discussed in a global, with a global expert, and we're looking at different angle how education can be sustainable, can be productive. So when we are putting together our speakers, we got awesome speakers who are professionals in this area, who are doing well. And I don't want to go through all their profile. If I do that, I will not be out of this place. And we have Professor Sharma. We have the Professor Dr. Carolyn Watters. I don't want to do a mistake. Doctor, Professor, I don't want to do that mistake. All right, we have Carolyn Watters. Okay, and then we have Abolaji Osime, who she's in America presently on assignment, education assignment. She's been going around, in that world, in Africa. She's #1 in Africa. In Nigeria, the minister consults, her on different levels of education and all that. So we have experts in the house today, and I don't want to take long time introducing them, but I'm going to start. It's going to be discussionary. We're going to discuss, but before then, we're going to give your thoughts in 10 minutes so that we can have enough time where I can ask you questions, we can hear thoughts, and it's going to be robust thought. Why? Because it's going to come from different, continents, different angles, different parts of the world, and then we're going to have contribution from other experts that are here. So if I want to start from you, Professor Sharma, can you give us a 10 minutes run of, okay, so our topic today, or our focus is, so let me read that, so that will give us direction, right? So it's called Making Education Vocational for Greater Employability. If I would say for greater productivity, right? So how can we make education vocational that would give us the result that the world is looking for? Sustainability, productivity. So Professor Sharma, can you give us a 10 minutes run of your thoughts? If you have a slide, I can quickly make you a co-host, but if you don't have a slide, I'll give you 10 minutes to run your thoughts, and then everybody will be jotting down, then we can ask you questions later. Then I will now go into discussion. Go ahead, Professor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Remy. Such a great privilege and honor to connect to you under the knowledge sharing forum of WAPS, of which I have been a part for many years, in fact, from my days at IIT Delhi and thereafter Delhi College of Engineering, and now at Amity University. Having said this, let me say how excited we are here in India to greet the new dawn of a new age, which has opened tremendous amount of opportunities for the youth of our country, as well as, I'm sure, youth of the nations around the world. But then we are also conscious, having been in education all along for the last 53 years. I started my career in 1969 as a lecturer. So we are increasingly becoming now conscious that the purpose of education cannot and should not be limited only to employability. It must be taking on board dimensions of education by which we are able to create both the professionally prepared human beings, but also people with heart and mind. We will have, in fact, a commitment to peace and harmony to be maintained around the world. And therefore, we are discovering now that there is a need for skilling the workforce from the point of view of making them fully committed, not just aware, but fully committed to achieve what I call the education for sustainability, education for peace, and education for happiness, and education for well-being also. While on one hand, we in India have a great advantage of having 600+ million youngsters below the age of 25 who are looking towards our educational institutions, including the universities, for skilling themselves, we fully realize that the whole work of skilling cannot be done merely in the university campuses alone. We have to take on board the industries in the neighborhood as well as around us and partner with them to ensure that we are able to do this whole job of preparing them to be future ready, to be ready for the industries at home as well as abroad. And therefore, every day on my desk as a Vice Chancellor, I keep getting, in fact, requests from the students who are selected for their jobs to join at an early age. So basically today, early joining is becoming a real future. And when I look at it, I find that the internship in the industry has emerged as an important element of skilling and preparing the workforce to be future ready as well as industry ready. Having said this, let me say that the excitement about STEM is very high in India, and people are inclined to enroll in greater number for science, technology, and engineering and mathematics discipline. And therefore, we have a responsibility also to see that we also look after those who do not form the part of STEM. People like me would like to have focus on STEM rather than STEM. I want to add A in this whole nomenclature so that I'm able to take on board those who are graduating with Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science and BCom and the degrees of the kind which may not necessarily belong to science and engineering. And I want to do this job to ensure that the workforce rolling out from the university is properly skilled for the jobs which we have in future. At the same time, I want to ensure them to possess the necessary skills, interpersonal skills and personal skills of critical thinking, and also skills by which they stand out as outstanding human beings in the community to which they would belong to after graduation from the university. So a whole lot of excitement is around in this respect. Let me also say that while we are highly conscious of the skills that are required for Industry 4.0, we are also conscious that to build the future-ready professionals, we have to go beyond Industry 4.0. Whole lot of new jobs, in fact, millions of the jobs will be created by making a big sense of sustainability. We would be looking at new jobs coming from green energy technologies, green environment technologies, new jobs coming from the food and agriculture sector, and a whole lot of new jobs coming from wellness and the new health sector that would prompt people to understand the meaning and purpose of creating a healthy body, healthy mind, and a happy soul. And therefore, we are looking at skilling from the point of view of connecting to the world of work today, but also being conscious that we are in the age of uncertainty, where the world of work is changing, where industries are changing, economies are, of course, changing. In India, we are trying to see how best we can respond to this challenge of uncertain times and yet highly exciting and opportune time that we have ahead of us. And to do this, in the university system, we are looking at skills of different levels. While you have knowledge-led skill development in the areas which are so important for Industry 4.0, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, and automation, but we are looking at the skills which are required for development of new sciences and mind-boggling new technology innovations, and therefore skills by which we are able to empower our youth to become more imaginative, more innovative, more creative, and if they should have the ability to utilize the knowledge what they have. Let me also finish by saying that here in India, we are also trying to understand that much of the learning tomorrow, including skilling, will happen by our focus on learning by doing rather than learning in the classroom. And therefore, much of the skill development will take place outside the classroom by putting teams together to design and develop, manufacture, and in fact, design new ways of doing the same thing in a more proper manner. And this way, we would be able to go beyond Industry 4.0 to what I call massification of enterprises and entrepreneurship of totally new kind, which is perhaps not seen by the world so far. And this will be supported and contributed by higher end skills of path-breaking developments in science and technology, which will be the game changers for tomorrow. New technologies and new sciences, learning from the nature, the science of nature, and also trying to understand that we are here to create not only a bright future for the human beings in the country or around the world, but also for the entire existence that is around us. COVID-19 has taught us that our existence purely and simply depends upon how responsibly we are able to commit ourselves to maintain a healthy and happy environment around. And therefore, at a time when the world is one and we are one family and we have common challenges, the whole gamut of skilling has to be seen, in my opinion, from the point of view of just looking at careers or employability to begin with. While employability is important, that's not the end of skilling. Skilling is for the purpose of making you employable up to the last breath of your life, not necessarily in the corporate and industry. Even after retirement from there, you should be able to contribute effectively to maintaining and sustaining this beautiful world and the community of compassion and peace, so that we are able to have a blissful world around it. In this context, in fact, I thought, let me finish by saying that tremendous amount of excitement in India is happening, and we are looking at how to unleash the power of ideas, the power of science, new science and technology, how to, in fact, rediscover the meaning and purpose of science and technology from the point of view of creating a blissful society. All these are, of course, on the card. And in the university, we are also asking ourselves, are we on the right track, or should we put skill before the knowledge and allow the student to create skills of learning and skills of knowing well before we heavily bombard them with the vast body of knowledge to which now they have easily access, because the knowledge is so easily available. It's a question of whether you can digest it, whether you can apply it, whether you can critically chew it over to work out your own trajectories of applications and so on. So I thought I must put this on table, that Industry 4.0 is just the beginning. I would be looking at it, Education 9.0, taking on board those dimensions of education which go beyond career and industries and allow a human being to work for the betterment of the society, betterment of the entire humanity, and look after the interest of planet and people together.
Thank you very much. So if you allow Prof to go, I know it can take the whole day giving us perspective to the latest education that is needed. And many people are asking me, why is it so passionate? Professor Sharma is the Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Gujarat, India, and former Vice Chancellor of Delhi Technology University. He is the president of the Association of India University. I mean, you can imagine, if I keep on reading, I mean, you can find his full profile on the flyers and on the material we sent to you. So I don't want to go through that. But being a professor, and being a vice chancellor, he has so much knowledge, he has so much content, and being, the president of Association of Universities, I can imagine what he knows about what we're talking about today. So I'm going to come back to you on some questions that we need to, ask you. But for us to go further, I want Madam Abolaji Osime, who also is, okay, let me just give you, I'll just give you a paragraph. I don't want to go into our full details, a full profile. She is the CEO and owner of Global International College Nigeria, which is a global school. I know about that school well. She's also CEO and co-founder of Global Reimagine Online Academy and Strategic Offshore Placement. Ms. Osime founded a non-governmental agency called EFAN, which is the main objective for ensuring that all Nigerians are educated. And I think she has taken up beyond Nigeria to Africa now. She moves around, propagating the gospel of education. So, Madam Osime, will you welcome you to our discussion on education today? And I know you're passionate about it. 10 minutes. If I give you 1 hour, I know it's not enough for you. Let's start with 10 minutes. Please introduce yourself to us in 1 minute, and then kick the ground running on your thoughts about education, especially in line with our discussion. We're talking about making education vocational for greater employability or greater productivity. Go ahead, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this, Remy. I'm going to share my slides so that will give you a perspective and I can introduce myself. Thank you everyone for joining us today. So let me just quickly share my slides.
Already.
Oops.
Are you sharing from? Okay, you sharing from.
Yeah, can you see my slides now?
Yes, we can see. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So let me just start from the beginning. And okay, great. So I'm so happy to be here. And this is something I'm very passionate about. I have worked with government, consulted for government, trying to get vocational on the in the curriculum to make sure that Nigerians are educated, because I do believe in education for employment. Thank you, Prof, for a lot of the things you said from what is being done in India. I wish we could do more in Nigeria. So I'm going to talk from the Nigerian point of view and also Africa, West Africa point of view, and how we can ensure we have skills. And I think we're just talking about skills for lifelong learning and a greater employability. So this is me. I'm a serial entrepreneur, actually. So I've done quite a lot of businesses, and I've been 22 years educating Nigerians, Africans. I've done, what I'm interested in is how do we get them the skills so that they can get the jobs. So that's why you can see that I have a skills recruitment agency, and I have an EdTech startup. I'm actually in California now because I had to come for the GSV Venture Summit to pitch for my EdTech, to raise funds, to be able to push my EdTech, which is a test prep app that is going to be ensuring students have access to all the resources to pass all the exams that they need to do. So this is me in a nutshell. So I've done a bit work with government and all of that. So what are the challenges we have in Nigeria? I just wanted to go on the backdrop and say, what are the challenges we have in Nigeria? And these are the challenges really in most African countries as well. But I'll look at Nigeria as the fact. So we have a population of about 200 million people, 60%, and by 2050, we're going to be the third largest nation in the world after China and India at about 400 million. And that's what's projected. 60% of our 200 million are young people. We have a very youthful population. Unfortunately, we have a high unemployment. So 36.5% of our population are unemployed. That's a whole 43.8 million. That's drastic, you know, and we're growing very fast. We have a 400 billion largest economy in Nigeria. We have a lot of potentials in Nigeria, but we are not harnessing our potentials. And because we really are not looking at the skills, that's the challenge. Okay, this is not working. Okay, so just a bit of background. Because of the absence of skilled workforce, it means that we are not able to exploit our potential. Post-COVID, Nigeria needs to meet the needs of the labor market. We must reduce unemployment by focusing on vocational skills. Right now, it's heavily supply-based. So it's what the government says. It's what the government wants, but it's not what the employers want. And that's where the challenge is. So we have a very fragmented TVET governance on a harmonized regulatory framework. There's a program that World Bank is doing that I'm part of now, which is called the IDEAS project. And I'm going to be part of this to look at tracking our technical graduates. We're doing a tracer study, we're doing a digital platform, and then we have all sorts of components of the program just to see how we can get vocational skills on board so that students can have skills and they can be productive. So these are some of the challenges we have in Nigeria: crumbling, obsolete equipment. There's absence of internship and on-the-job training whilst they're in secondary school or in university. There's a mismatch between what we teach in our institutions and what the needs of the labor market is. A lot of our curriculum are outdated, and we're trying to work with government and trying to say to them, we need to update them to 21st century skills. We need tech skills, we need AI, we need robotics, we need all of this. It's too theoretical. And because of this, we have the high unemployment that I just showed you because we are not connecting it. Of course, many countries are looking at vocational skills as the next engine of growth, which is very relevant. So in terms of looking at 21st century vocational education, from my point of view, for not just Africa, maybe for other countries that are here, we must ensure employability and we must integrate vocational skills by equipping students with practical and job-specific skills through work-based learning. It's so important. I went to a school in San Diego yesterday when we were doing the conference called High Tech, and it was a school of the future. the students were doing projects. It was project-based. They were coming together, collaborating together, trying to find solutions to climate change, trying to find solutions to different things. And this is what schools should be like. From nursery, students should be able to think and collaborate. They must collaborate, and educational institutions must collaborate with government so that they know what they need, they know what they must collaborate with private sector and with government. There must be a growing awareness of the importance of education and vocational skills. A lot of parents in Nigeria would say, I don't want my child to do skills. I want my child to go to university. Yesterday, I was speaking to a friend of mine. We had a tech conference, a mini one, and he told me about a 16-year-old who had come to the US and did a course for about 3-4 months on development of apps and development of things. And she came back to Nigeria. She has not gone to university, and she's commanding the same salary, if not more, that a graduate will command. So it just tells you that it's all about skills right now. It must be student-centered. We must have pathways, and career guidance and counseling must be tied to the curriculum and provision of education. So I would say, what are the strategies that we can use to implement this? And that's, like I said, there must be collaboration between educational institutions and industry partners. There must be an awareness and changing perception about vocational education and how to increase its appeal. We must equip our educators and teachers with the necessary skills and knowledge. These strategies can lead to employability for graduates, enhance productivity and competitiveness for industries and economic growth. So I just wanted to look at a student's learning journey. So basically, like I said, how do we train them so that they can get jobs? Looking at the context that we have in Nigeria. So we start at like a blended learning design by TVET. So it's classroom, digital learning, hands-on, contextualized for the country. Every country has its own different context on how you can work. So it's important that our curriculum serves our people. So we don't want to import curriculums. We don't want to import other things. So we have to look at that and mix it together. And then for things like boot camps, EDX and so many other companies are having boot camps. Students can join, during holidays, after secondary school, to equip skills. They can go online. There's so many courses now that they can do, and they can go online during holidays and internships, and then have an apprenticeship program, which must be project-based with assignments. So this is like a learning journey now that we are proposing that students should have in order to become employed. There's a need for private sector engagement. I'm not going to go through this. I just, Sector Skills Council. These are some of the things we proposed to the National Board of Technical Education in Nigeria. That is important, that there's a need for collaboration stakeholders have to make. There's a need for the curriculum to be upgraded as well. It must be competency-based curriculum to look at the different competency of students. So a young person can come who has never really gone into the mainstream education, but maybe has just primary 6 or just did 6 years of education, but he goes into the workplace and he begins to learn, and that kind of competency going across the board. And I'm sure you guys are aware of the National Vocational Qualification Framework and all of that. So there's also a need, like I said, guidance and counseling. We must incorporate aspects of the world of work and life in education. We must integrate ICT in our curriculum in Nigeria. We must digitalize all our courses and put it on a portal. That's what we're trying to do with government, and saying we need to have all these courses. It must be accessible to everybody. Everybody must have an opportunity to learn. Everybody must have an opportunity to have a skill, so that whatever they're doing, at least they know when they get into the workplace, they can be self-employed or they can be employed. So this is just like a systematic development, what to do.
Thank you, man.
What I'm talking about. Okay, so we have this as well, like the portal that I talked about. And in conclusion, it plays a very crucial role in today's job market, and it's essential that stakeholders work together like what we're doing, improve employability for graduates, enhance productivity and competitiveness for industry, economic growth and development for the country. This is very important. Thank you so much for listening.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. I'm still going to come up with my questions and to for you to shed more light on some of the things you have mentioned. I want to go quickly to, thank you very much. You can share your screen. Right. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that. And I think Anita is going to do a kind of a short review on all the speakers, so I don't want to do that by reviewing all your thoughts. But as we go on, we're going to get more as we even go deeper by asking questions that you're going to answer. So I want to go to Dr. Carolyn Watters. She's from Canada, and I'm sure she's going to give us a Canadian perspective to education. We've heard from Africa, heard from India. So let's go to Canada and see what is education like, especially as we talk about sustainable education, productive education. So I don't want to read your profile. I'm sure everybody here have the documents. You can read your profile. Dr. Carolyn Watters is a professor emeritus in Dalhousie University, Halifax. I've been in Halifax before, so I've been there in Canada. And then was seconded from Dalhousie University. Dr. Watters served as inaugural chief digital. I mean, on and on. If I start to do this now, we will not be out of this, and your time is already counting. So, Dr. Watters, can you give us 10 minutes perspective? You want to share slide? I want to share, without using slide, 10 minutes of your thoughts about sustainable education, productive education, especially as it relates to vocational kind of education. Or what do you think? Are you in support, or do you have a different perspective, especially from India? I mean, sorry, from Canada. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the two previous speakers. I certainly agree with both of your perspectives, but I will give it a Canadian sort of context. So, of course, from my background, have spent most of my career trying to figure out how to increase the value of post-secondary education for both the benefit of the economy in Canada and for social benefit to Canadians and others around the world. So it's a combination of personal development and development of skills for evolving economies. And we have to think not only of the short term, but the long term. So my definition of education for vocation is, can we prepare our people for gainful employment and self-employment with the knowledge, skills, and experience that they need in order to be gainfully employed and increase productivity, which is, of course, what's concerned. But I would like to say up front, this is not restricted, in my opinion, to technical schools and community colleges. So just a little bit about Canada here. So in Canada, the term college is referred to institutions whose main focus is on tangible skills and credentials, sort of apprenticeship through coding and health assistance, project management, et cetera, and universities remain, for the most part, the degree granting institutes in the country. There's only 40 million Canadians, so 97 universities and 127 publicly funded colleges and institutions with more than 10,000 programs. So almost everybody in Canada is eligible to go to, well, everyone's eligible to go to community colleges, and most people, I think 70% of students coming out of high schools end up in universities. So how do we actually make this work? Because if we want employability, we need to focus not only on people who need to gain initial employment, but we need people who are in the workforce to keep that employment. And sometimes they're just, the job that they're doing is just gone. So how do we get them skilled up for new employment? And there are, in all societies, people who are chronically unemployed. Either they didn't get the basic skills, life happened. How do we help them get back into the employment world? So I looked at this in terms of what are the employability threats as the economies of individual countries become more global as we go forward. And I think the first threat is this rapidly evolving nature of what production, productivity, what's value mean, and what are employable skills. So specifically, what are the threats to employability of more AI, automation, digital transformation of both goods and services? In Canada right now, 1 in 5 jobs is at risk of being automated to some degree in the very near future, according to the Conference Board of Canada. So we couple with an rapidly evolving context of the economy, with the shrinking shelf life of skills. So the best survey that I found was that half of the value of skills that we're teaching right now have half their value is lost every 3 to 5 years. We always tell our computer science students in the university, whatever we taught you in first year about programming will be, you'll have learned a lot about the process, but that language probably won't be used anymore, and those protocols will be gone. So you have to build in from the very beginning that you're going to have to keep learning if you want to continue to be useful and employed. And the third thing we need to put into this is the current siloing of education opportunities across university, colleges, online opportunities, and private suppliers. This presents a problem for employers and workers because we currently lack standardized information about learning credential outcomes. So it's one thing to say, I took this MOOC course, or I took this at a college, and I took this. How do we actually know what the outcomes of those learnings are? And how do we verify that across the board? In Canada, at least, we're currently still lacking a framework that allows stacking of anything from micro-credentials to certificates and degrees into larger credentials that people can present to employers, that they can actually identify what it is that they do well. And we're just starting to build a system to get rid of this lack of transparency of the transfer of credits between these different systems. So currently it's sort of a 1-by-1. So Dalhousie has agreements with different colleges about students from the college entering into a degree program, graduates taking things at the colleges where they may have better labs, they may have better equipment, they're more skill-based. And so in that context of what are the threats in terms of employability, I look a bit at what are the opportunities for a strategic reset if we try to look at this through a focus on employability. So who are the players here? So we've got higher education, we've got government, we've got employers, and we have employees and potential employees. So of course, I'll start with the higher education sector. So we need to build an ecosystem, and Canada is quite homogeneous. So students can go between universities or between colleges easily. It's a little more difficult to go in between those. So we're looking at building an ecosystem for credential rethink. So how do we define what a credential is? How do we define what the outcome is? How do we define success? So if we're building a new credentialing framework, there are about 6 or 7 things we need to look at. And first, which has already been discussed, is work experience. So close to 80% of all students in universities even have an opportunity to take a term or more as work experience that they can then bring back and forth. We need to build a much closer relationship with business and industry to identify those skills that the employers are looking for. And certainly at universities, we need to start fast tracking new offerings. Universities are delightful institutions. I've spent my whole career there, but it can take 2 years to start a new program, in which case we need to be working on the next one. So we need to essentially remove the rigid barriers and come up with a hybrid model that allows fluid exchanges and are accessible as people go through their careers. It's not a one and done. I got my degree, I've got my certificate, I'm finished, because we all know that in 5 or 10 years you're not finished. You have to start planning ahead, and we need to plant the seeds for people to be able to continue that education. So it's a matter of also opening up pathways for people who are not currently in the system, people who have not had an opportunity for any number of reasons to continue on to a college or to figure out credentials to get the skills and the experience that they go through. And that's part of our education problem. And we tend to think in our silos as opposed to in the larger picture. So government, of course, I believe, has a fundamental responsibility for coming up and building a national employability strategy for examining and planning for the long-term outcomes of sustainable employability. And it's at the government level that we need a national qualification reference framework. So employers have a consistent way of adding together the different pieces of skills, experience, and education to certify what an applicant is actually bringing to the job. And students need a standard mechanism so they can actually articulate what they've got and what they've done to employers while they're trying to get a job, keep a job. And lastly, we really need to figure out how to enable transfer of credits seamlessly between all these little bits and pieces. The employers and the employees themselves have a big role in how we go from here. So employers must start to think ahead and fund and engage strategic skill development in the workplace. And we need to recognize everywhere what Professor Sharma had said, that there are going to be higher level cognitive skills and digital skills required. And how do we bring those to them? How do we reinforce them while people are working? So I'm not sure where I am on my timeline, but I'm at the conclusion.
Thank you. I think you really
So where do we go from here? First of all, we need alignment. We need a national strategy or international strategy to be even better, but where we coherently tie government, academia, and industry to measurable skill and upscaling outcomes. We need to look at outcomes, not just more bright ideas from us academics. We need to remove the barriers for moving between them and build a network that allows hybrid paths. And we actually have to start to recognize national standards for credential equivalency. What's the outcome equivalency of a 4-hour microcredit versus some other skill? So as I said before, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. There's not a single point of responsibility here. We all need to be strategic, and we definitely need to collaborate across the sectors. I think everybody who's here, we all need to step up.
Yeah, thank you very much. If I allow you, I know you have so much to say. I just want to go to the next phase. So you can drop those thoughts in the next question I'm going to ask. So you can just do that. And thank you very much, Dr. Carolyn. Awesome presentation and a different perspective to what we've had from 2 other continents. All right. Now, for participants here today, if you have any question, please can you drop it in the chat room? My colleague Anita will pick that, and then we can take your questions when I'm done with my own questions and thoughts. So if you have questions, please drop in the chat room. Then Anita will take it up, and then we'll wrap up. We don't want this minute to be more than the time we schedule for its time box. All right. Thank you very much, Caroline. That was awesome. Now let's start this way. I'm going to take question round, and I want to just hit the nail. Don't let us do it. I mean, this room is full of experts. So if you explain it, people get it already. So don't let us go into details. Let's hit the point, the points on the head, and then let's move on. Let's hit on the head. All right. So let me start from Professor Sharma. You as the head of the universities in India, and I know the number in India is awesome, and I know how much you've tackled, unemployment, youth development, and all that in India. I mean, India with that number, I can see the results in other parts of the world. I see Indians everywhere in every part of the world being productive. I mean, using one skill or the other. So there must be a strategy that that have been used in India. So let me ask a question. What is the role of the theoretical education? We cannot cancel out academic education and vocational. How can we marry? We cannot cancel out vocational. So let's go theoretical. Theoretical will give us theory. Vocation will give us skill. But how do we marry the two in 1 minute? If possible, please just go to the point. how do we marry the two and have productive education from our university? So our university does not become an academic archive where people just drop projects, drop thoughts, drop scientific thinking, and then we cannot see the results in the economy. Please, 1 minute, let me hear your thoughts.
I think the universities in India and institutions of higher education around the world are increasingly recognizing that we cannot work alone. We have to work in partnership with the industry. But industry is not the only partner. We have to take on board the government missions and the government of the day, because we have to be partner and party to implementation of whole lot of initiatives that are coined at the government level. And we need also to take society on board. We cannot just be looking at industries and corporate for skilling tomorrow's workforce. We have to look at the societal needs also, and we need to prepare with sensitivity our workforce for that. And we need to also look at something which is not easily available, that is partnering with the research and development organizations. We have a framework of organizations within our own country, and therefore the skill development framework has to be conceived from the point of view of taking these 5 partners together: academia, industry, government, society, and higher end research and development organization, which we have in our country. And therefore, with this strategy of Panchamrit, 5 elements working together, trying to produce, in fact, something which is so important for tomorrow's world of work and the society, is the strategy. Let me just finish by saying that the framework for skill development is already sketched out in our National Education Policy, NEP 2020. And we have system in place where our National Council of Vocational Training and Education and also National Skill Councils and sectorial skill councils are also there. But we shall fail miserably if we do not understand the importance of taking on board the society and government alongside with industry and R&D organizations to deliver the promise that we have for the future. And therefore, in the university system in India, we are increasingly working, in fact, in a collaborative mode, so that we have a team in place to create skills of tomorrow. I would have loved to see skill towers and skill parks in the universities, not only here, but around the world. But today, all that can be done in partnership, and certainly the future is very bright actually for the university. Let me remind you just one thing which I thought must be put on the table right now. When I became vice chancellor for the first time in 1999, Peter Decker, the management guru that time, made a prophecy that 30 years from now, large universities shall be relics. 30 years from now, large universities shall be relics. And in fact, it is he said that internet is one such thing which has come really to make a big difference in the way we learn, the way we skill, and we go about putting the whole business of universities together. So I think we need to change, and we need to change as per the challenges at home and also challenges around the world, and put up a brave face for working together in a Panchamrit, the 5 elements, putting together for a common cause of skilling the.
Thank you. Awesome. I mean, if you go on, I know you're going to come up with a paper on this, because the world will want to know how India is really turning out, those number of people who are doing awesomely around the world, and the role of the university. Now, let me go to, thank you very much, Prof. Let me go to Madam Osime. Now, I mean, by privilege, I'm also from Nigeria. I cannot deny the fact. But I know a lot of things going on there. And I know you are a stakeholder in the education sector of that country. But there's unemployment. There's a massive unemployment in that country. There's massive unemployment in Africa. And then here we have professors, we have scholars, we have good people who have great minds. So gap is too heavy. And when I was doing my postgraduate in education, education management, I was told that the school is supposed to be a resource center where we are pulling out the resources into the economy into the economy. So what's happening? Where is that gap? Where is that so much gap? Can you recognize the gap and solution? Probably you've talked about it, but so this was just direct to you. Why is there unemployment after so much education in Africa? I don't want to say Nigeria, and it cut across all. Go ahead, please. And the solution. 1 minute, as much as you can. Thank you, man.
I think we're still teaching students for the 19th century or industrial revolution. Now we're in the 4th industrial revolution now. And that's what we need. We have a huge population in Nigeria. Our government needs to recognize that human capital is critical. And that's why we're advocating that vocational skills and innovation skills should start from primary school, not even just nursery. Students should start coding. Students should understand, how to, but we must, I had emphasized in my slides the importance. Nigeria is very big and we have many resources. We have mineral resources, we have oil, we have everything. But the challenge is that the government is not talking to private sector. So they need to, the academia, the universities are not talking to private sector. So they still have a curriculum that is a cake until we come together. In Nigeria, we do not have capacity in our universities. 1.9 million apply every year and we have only 600,000 places. We tell that 1.3 million do not get places. So what happens to them? They become unemployed because they don't have the skills. So it's a dual system like the German system. We must ensure that they have the skills and they're able to go to the workplace 2 days a week, come back into classroom, and then merge both so that they are learning on the job. And from there, the employers will be confident to employ them because they're already doing an internship with them. So that's the proposal that we have sort of said to government. Let's have the practical and let's have the theory coming together. And then these young people will be able to get jobs. And they can get jobs remotely in anywhere in the world, not just Nigeria. So even if you don't have the jobs in Nigeria, a lot of kids are now getting jobs in Silicon Valley because they're going for 6-month courses. I think even 4-year courses for university is becoming obsolete because most skills that they need in the industry, you don't need 4 years for it. A lot of the stuff they're learning in university is not relevant. What they're learning in schools is not relevant. We need to make sure they are learning relevant skills for the workplace. Awesome. So that would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sure a lot of people are agreeing with you, especially for those of us who are from that side of the world. Please, if you have questions, drop it in the chat room. I will not take it up, but I'm going to let to Dr. Carolyn. Yeah, Canada. I know Canada is an open ground for immigrants coming in. Let them come in. Let them add value to the economy. Let them go to school. Let them add value and all that. And which I know is strategic for Canada. And let's look at what is called the STEM. The STEM, and STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Some say that is the way out. That's the kind of education that can rescue a nation. But my concern is, should every education go on STEM? What about those who are in arts? What about those who are in humanity? What about those who are in other parts who are not science, who are not science-based? I don't know. Maybe you understand what I'm saying. What about those who do arts and culture? What about those who are creative writers? What about those who are into other parts of sector that is not science, technology, engineering, or mathematics based? I didn't like mathematics when I was growing up. I didn't like mathematics. I just like talking. But so what I'm saying is, what kind of STEM? Mr. Mike, can you help us to mute your mic, please? Thank you. All right. So what kind of STEM education? Help us to mute your mic, Mr. Mike. Thank you. Yeah. So what kind of education do you think is appropriate in line with STEM? Because you talk about innovation, coding, and all that. Must everybody go in line of coding or line of science or technology or mathematics, as the case may be? Where is the thin line, and how can we marry those who are not in that technology world to be more productive or sustainable? Go ahead, please.
Okay. So this, first of all, in Canada, we actually talk about STEAM. STEAM. Okay. So the arts are included. I would just put that out there because I think it's a good mindset to have, that it's not.
So what is STEM? What is STEM? I know about STEM. Science,
technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Okay.
Okay, to sort of make sure that people also, all students are required in both colleges and universities to take a mix. So nobody can't get away with it. If you're nerdy like me, you can't get away with just doing what you want. I would also say that currently in Canada, we've doubled the number of students with degrees, undergraduate degrees, who then take their next 6 months or a year at a community college to get some very specific employable skills. So marketing, project management, a business, things like that, where they take their arts background in particular, but also science students need those skills. So having a degree in chemistry doesn't mean you gotta be employed. So, you know, how do you do project management? What's the business part? And so we've doubled that in the last 4 years, up to about 15% of graduates from undergraduate degrees are now accepted by the community colleges to go and take these. So we have a two-way street there, which I think is really important. And I think that at the university, it's true about a little more than half of all the students, I believe, I would categorize as highly skilled and employable. So think of all the people in health, all the nurses, all the doctors, all the dentists, all the engineers, people largely in business schools, certainly the people in computer science. They have an entry point, and employers are step up hugely to have them there as interns, practice terms. And so they all have, all those programs have some component of experience. And that's where I think we need to go. We need to take advantage of where we have opportunity for these more human skills. So marketing, graphics, HR, human resource management, all of these things need this combination of human kind of skills, the creativity, although I would argue that everybody's creative, it's just we need to give them an outlet, and the kinds of more directed things you get at a college level or with microcredits, et cetera. So I think this hybrid notion, this back and forth, you don't just go one place, you're taking advantage of the different parts of the platform.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your thought. And I think I'm also taking notes. We're going to take back home. And I think I love the word STEM, where we have engineering and arts, so that we can see the inclusion of technology in arts, and we can see inclusion of science in arts, and then we can have all that married together. Let me go to the chat room and see what some of the comments, and all of us can go to the chat room and see comments people are making. I think Anita said, totally agree with a close relationship that we can build with company and education. I think is very important to keep it up and take the lead. There must be gap before education curriculum must be prepared so that we are really feeling the impact in the economy. And I think Professor also the cooperation and partnership between academia, industry, government, community, R&D organization was the key to, yeah, awesome. So there must be, just like Madam Osime said, there must be collaboration. All the stakeholders must come together before we can have what is called education. Education is to fill a need. So why are we running it on our own? Very, very important. And Mike also said UK technical qualification was 6 months, often 6 months, e.g. diary to run, diary plans and all that. Yeah. So he was also agreeing, Mike is also agreeing with, when I was saying that, okay, we can have 6 months of, technical education in school, the degrees 4 years. I think something we can think about. And I'm sure Dr. Sonny can work on the documentation we can present to United Nations on our stand on this meeting today. I'm sure a lot of things are coming. Let me see questions. Okay, I agree with Professor this. We need to close. Okay, anyway, you all see, you can all look at that as I'm going on. And if I have anything you need to take my attention to, let me know on time. But Prof, I want to ask you one more question because I'm checking my time. Universities. There's a lot of politics, who become the vice chancellor, who become the board of the university. What's doing university? There's a politics part of it. There's a government part of it. Sometimes the government is interested. I don't know how it's wrong. Probably it's a global thing where government is also interested. Who becomes this, and then there's an agenda of the university. How can we make university employability agenda, right? How can we make university, you are the president of our university, vice chancellor, so to say, how can we have an agenda that will be sustainable, not just our personal agenda, not just making money for the university? You get a lot of courses everywhere that university want to push out students to do, and they're breaking, and then some of this thing doesn't have real impact on the economy outside because, it's, personal. How can we have a sustainable agenda that will affect the community, not just making money for the university, but I know it's actually sustained, but how? How can we marry that together? Economy of the university and impact. Maybe that's the question. How can we marry that together? In 1 minute, so that we can move to the next person. Thank you.
Absolutely right. And without the agenda for employability and creating the future-ready workforce, universities would have no meaning tomorrow. But to do this, I think we need to recognize that we need to adopt new ways of skilling and new ways of education. During my own days at Delhi College of Engineering and Delhi Technological University, I found the best way to skill my graduates is to allow them to try out their own hands on what we call project-based learning, designing and developing something, making it, taking it to the competitions around the world. And I was amazed to see the kind of employability layers with which we are generated in my institution and university. Often we surpass the imaginations of the people that how could undergraduates be doing such a thing. We received the most innovative design award for an unmanned aerial vehicle way back in 2006. And it happened primarily because allowing that flexibility and opportunity and environment for learning by the students on the basis of project-based learning. So that's something which is very, very important in fact. But let me also say something. When I was hearing about STEM, I think we are in a very different set of age today, where science and technology are for one and all, no matter what discipline you belong to. And that is why I think today it would be very important for us to apprise each and everyone, including those in liberal arts and also in the world of business and management and everywhere, that science and technology is not just for engineers and scientists, it is for everyone in the society. Awesome. And we need to understand that just like, for example, science of language, technology of languages, both are to be understood in order to really create that harmony between the languages tomorrow. And to develop artificial intelligence, we would be able to develop technologies for speech-to-speech communication in different languages and so on. So really speaking, today, science and technology is not just for engineering graduates. Also, medical science, the health sciences, the social sciences, businesses, corporates, everywhere, science and technology are impacting the way things are happening. And therefore, the skills of science and technology explorations and integrating that scientific temper and technological eyes are very, very important. Luckily, we are in a good time today because the opportunity to self-learn a lot about technology is much more today than it was when I enrolled myself as a student in an engineering institution at that time. So therefore, I think we are in good time. All we need to do is to allow our students to explore the opportunities that are there, form their own team and let them learn together, and to also take on board the industries and corporates and also the society in their whole lot of learning. And this is what exactly is the agenda today for people like me in the university or for my colleagues who are in the universities in India.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'm taking my notes, and I'm sure we're going to come up with a paper after this. And I'm happy our chairman is also here, who does a lot of things with the United Nations, UNDP. Mike is going to help us to take this to them, for them to begin to see how we can change the dynamics of education globally in the world. Madam Osime, last question for you from me is, I know you represent the non-governmental, would I say private sector, who pursue education as a passion. Of course, I know you make money there too, and I know you do a lot of things in that sector. Now, the government is not giving you, they're not giving you the nod, they're not making things happen, and you cannot make it happen yourself, by yourself, so to say. What is the role of private sector who are in the education sector, right? Okay, private sector and education sector, right? The private people who have schools, school owners, like myself, I have the Institute of Productivity back in Africa, and then we have curriculum and productivity, curriculum and innovation, and then the government is not accepting it. What is the role? What would the private sector do, changing the system in their own way before the government finally accepts it? Or how can this thing be accepted by a government? I know you fought governments for so many years. I mean, from your experience, share your thoughts. Maybe other people also learn what would be the role of the private sector in the education sector. Go ahead, please.
Okay, awesome. I think first of all, from a private sector point of view, from running a K-12, I have incorporated a lot of the skills because it's not in the curriculum and it's not tested in the exams. We incorporate it as extracurricular skills. So for example, we have coding and we have all the other tech skills that we do in the school, just to make sure that our students are relevant and they have relevant skills. A lot of our students end up going to the US, they end up going to Canada, they end up going to other countries. So we need to make sure they're equipped even for what they're going to meet in the countries. But the other way that I would say I would like to provoke government is to pilot what government should do. And I have a vocational skill. I'm talking to a gentleman in the UK who wants to come in and to come and train our TVET teachers, to ensure that they can teach. It's so important for TVET assessors, TVET teachers now to be digitally savvy, because a lot of the stuff can go online. So we can actually have a lot of the stuff. Students can actually, government schools can access what we're doing in private schools online. We can open up to them online when all the resources are placed on the platform, all the courses are placed on the platform. So not just for students in schools, also adult education, people who are out there who do not have jobs. So we must have a platform, and that's what the World Bank project is trying to do, to say, let us have a platform and have all the resources on the platform so that students can have a skill. You can just go in for 6 months and do a skill, and then you have a skill, and you can always go back to secondary school, or you can go on to university if you want and get a 4-year degree. So I think we just need to have the conversations going with private sector and government, and also employers. That's what is critical. Everybody is on the same page. And I'll also advocate as well that a lot of the professors in university should be able to go to, during holidays, go to private sector, go to industries and see what industries are doing. So that the professors are not just teaching theory, they're also teaching practical. They need to know what's happening, but there's still a big disconnect. If we can come together and collaborate, I think we would be able to work together, and more students will get jobs and they'll be able to move on.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was powerful. Thank you. Now, Caroline, let me also wrap my thoughts with you, my question with you, while others will ask questions from the house. Is to say, talking about STEAM, there's a place of AI today. AI is a new disruption. And if care is not taken, it might take a lot of people out of job. So as we are advancing in technology, there's a danger that, people might not be able to find some jobs anymore. And then a new set of job will be created. And then we are like running. It's like running after the next innovation, running after the next innovation. How do we marry the new technology and the danger of human irrelevance? I know it's good, but how do you marry that? Where is the place of technology, AI, science, new innovation, development, getting results, and the place of human in this, so that we are not losing the human factor where we are increasing the innovation factor? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So go ahead. What are your thoughts on this? 1 minute, please. Thank you.
If I had an answer, I'd be pretty famous. But I would say that in terms of most of the AI, it requires a huge input from arts and science in general. So if you think about text analytics, we need people who understand how languages work. If you think of translation, you're not doing that with those of us who only speak 1 or 1.5 languages. Like, you need people who understand the backbone and the utility, how we put things together, how we take it apart. Goes a little bit to Anita's question about how do we teach critical thinking. So if we take GPT right now, we all need a lot of critical thinking right now. We need to have the ability to analyze whether or not we're getting just garbage, and how we need to be able to understand how it works in terms of human factors around language, how language is used, how it can be used for bad purposes. It all depends on what that data is. So you need to understand, and you need to be able to be critical. And our systems are not, I would say that every program has some part of critical thinking in it. It's not something you just say, well, today's lesson is critical thinking, right? We don't do that, but we have to have experiences in all educational parts and in our work in the private sector, where everybody's allowed to actually express and be confident that they may have something to add here, and it's not just, the professor or the boss. Whatever they say is exactly right. we need to bring all of these human minds to this, to think about what's the potential, which means that how are we going to skill up for that potential? How are we going to protect ourselves? So if you think of quantum, how do we need to do a lot of work about our encryptions right now, not when we actually have that, right? So we need this mix of things. And so I would say that we in terms of the human factor, we need to really pull on those people who have spent more of their time thinking about the human aspects and make hybrid people, as you mentioned. So people, you need to have a basic understanding of where things are going. You don't need to know every spin on a quantum bit, but you do need to know where the good points and bad points, where we're going, and how do we use that to benefit society as well as the economy.
Thank you very much. That's awesome. And I've taken my note already. And it really makes sense. So I'll just take one question. I think only one person dropped a question in the, so I will just take this round. And then I just want you to just drop your thoughts on that. How do we teach critical thinking on top of skill? So I think I need to ask this question. Critical thinking is a productive thinking. So there's a place of skill. So this is not for Caroline alone. So, but Mike, I think, Mike, I want you to say something about this. And I know you are also part of the NOCN, as productivity course in the UK. So I want Mike to say something about it. Where is the role of critical thinking? Because I know NOCN has a productivity management course. So I want Mike to, our chairman, to have a thought on this. What is the role of critical thinking, productive thinking, and skill? And I know you have an understanding of this. And because of your professor background, academic, skill, and productive thinking, how do we marry that? Right.
I believe the issue raised by Professor Sharma around how you actually include intern activity. To me, this is practical project-based learning where student groups actually tackle issues that are real in industry, and they learn by doing. And part of that learning is actually to think critically. I actually said we introduced in 1985, we stopped teaching in the first academic term, and we actually included just a network discussion of problems that were being faced by local companies or research institutes in the area, and we allowed the student groups to actually tackle the problems. And we, as the teachers, stopped teaching and started facilitating, which meant we actually had to work with the groups and actually put in our expertise in how we would actually approach that particular issue. And if you want real critical thinking, look at TRIZ, which is the actual science base of innovation to achieve a patent by actually doing things that's difficult to be replicated by another group. So I recommended to one university that they put patent development actually into the curriculum so that the students got used to actually thinking innovatively to actually achieve a result for a business in real term. So the more that we can make it real, and the more, I don't think we need 4-year degrees. I don't think we need 3-year degrees. I don't even think we need 2-year degrees. I think we need a very clear competency framework for what we expect from the outgoing delegates. I mean, I've been involved in this when only 3 institutes in the UK actually delivered the food degree, and there are now hundreds, but when you actually look at the competence of the people who come out of the institutes, they're not capable of doing the job in the place of work. So I think it's more on the reverse. I mean, parents don't have confidence that the qualification that the children are doing is really meaningful. And the way that we, as the academic teams actually working in institutes, need to respond to that is to make sure that I think what was being said by, I'll call it tons, Dalhousie, Technical University and Nova Scotia, is actually looking at learning outcomes as opposed to actually saying what the degree title is. It's to get into the actual practical deliverables that we get when we buy the qual. So I think critical thinking should be built in by problem-based learning or project-based learning, whichever way people want to do it. I've shared with the board because I'd written 2 papers specifically on that because it's not covered well in the academic literature. I think the first papers that we could find were almost in the late 90s, early 2000s, but you know, vocational institutes have been doing project-based learning since the point when they were actually started, and we should learn from that. And I think to my colleague in Nigeria, I think we've got a bigger need for technician level courses in an agri economy, whether that be aquaculture technicians, 3 months, 6 months, or something like that, where they've got skills that will be valued and they'll get paid for. Because there's a point at the top of the triangle, which is where the digital sector will go. It might broaden, but in an agri economy, we need to get smart technology into the bottom of the triangle where most people are working, whether that means they're capable of getting on, you know, young enterprise startup or something. I think we need to facilitate that. So I congratulate again
thank you
the panel, yeah, and I just congratulate the conversation in the panel.
Thank you, Mike. Also, if I allow you, I know you are so passionate about it. On and on and on and on. All right, so Prof, let's just take this round and then we'll wrap up. Except I see any new questions. So, Prof, let's look at knowledge, skill, and academy. I know there's a place of grants, there's a place of money for entrepreneurship, for testing out ideas. I don't want to go, if you go that's a full topic. What's the role of the university in sponsoring or in giving support for students who have ideas? Is that something we are thinking about in the future? So it's not just academic knowledge, it's not just the skill. Is there a support somewhere, somehow? As we get funding for academic, can we get funding for skills? Just your thoughts. I don't want us to take time. I have 1 minute on that, you're short on that, and then we'll move on. Professor Sharma, yeah.
But I must really at this point alert that knowledge and skills are not the sufficient condition for the professionals of tomorrow who will be handling complex and serious responsibilities to in fact contribute to the growth and well-being of the society and the world at large. Having said this, I think attitude is very, very important. And along with the attitude, we need to also see that they are the ones who possess the right kind of mindset for living together in a society with peace and harmony, as I said in the beginning. And therefore, knowledge, skills, attitude, as well as their professional personalities, in my opinion, are very important. It cannot be done merely within the university system anymore. We have to take on board the society, the industry, the government, and above all create, in fact, an ecosystem by which we are in a position to roll out holistic manpower rather than just a skilled manpower which will be doing the job of their employer. In any case, employment will be changing more rapidly than it has changed in the last few years. And therefore, skills will be changing, the knowledge set will be changing, but the attitude would remain the same. We have to cultivate positive attitude in our people, make them more humane in their approach, make them more sensitive and responsible to the society, to the world they belong to. And I think that part also is the part of skilling, in my opinion, cannot be really.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. I can be on you for long because of your role that you're playing in India, which is awesome. All right, so let me keep quiet for 1 or 2 minutes and see comments from our participants. I know we have experts here. It's a room full of experts. I'm feeling hurt already because the expertise here is awesome. So is there any comments from your experience, from your career, from your education background, from your school, from what you do? Can you share thoughts? 1 minute from the participants. And we have Professor Bane, we have Professor, we have a lot of people here from India, from UK, I saw some people from Nigeria, from Africa, from Canada here. So please share your thoughts. If you don't do that, I have so much to ask. I can just do 1 minute round and then we'll wrap up. Do I have anybody who want to share experience? You want to share thoughts? You want to say something from the audience? You want to share thought that we might need to learn from you or from your country? Okay, so as you are thinking and you are breathing, I will just go to Mr. Osime to say one thing. One thing is, if there must be change, what is one thing that government must do? One thing. And I'm wrapping up. I'm checking my time. Just one thing. What will government do if there must be change? So I can take you on that.
I think we are going in the right direction in the university to create, in fact, the future-ready professionals, except the point that we ourselves do not know what that future would be. And therefore, this is the biggest challenge for us to now create the future-ready workforce of a future about which we know perhaps little, because mind-boggling advances taking place in science and technology and in the world of work will compel us to reimagine the future of the mankind. But we cannot give up.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. So, Madam Osime, what one thing will government do? I'll just take it around and then we'll wrap. I'll call Sonny.
I think they should focus on the demand side rather than the supply side. So it's just basically to talk to the end users of the human capital and make sure that they are providing the skills for them. Because at the end of the day, the students are not just going to exams just to get a certificate. They're actually going to get a skill to get a job.
Yes.
So you need to speak to the employers and say, what do you guys want? Can you help us with the curriculum and develop a curriculum that is 21st century? Just like Prof said, we do not know the jobs of tomorrow. There's so much automation going on, and our students have to be relevant in order to be able to be productive.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Madam Osime. That was awesome. All right, Caroline, your thoughts? What should governments or the people, what should government do? I mean, I'm sure there's always gap everywhere in the world. What do you think government should do?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing the government can do, especially in a country like Canada where it's pretty homogeneous, is to actually take all the voices into account. So it's not just what the employers are looking for right now. We have to plan for the future. It's not just what academics want to do, right? Which is primarily, I call it the 1950s model, but they have to be at the table. The employers certainly have to be at the table. And I think that this coming up with a national strategy for employability, get those pieces together. Let's have some outcomes that we're looking for. Let's figure out what the process is as we go forward.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very, very much. And I'm getting this from my bosses that are telling me time. I know I don't want to be sacked, so let me allow my boss to take over for me. All right, so thank you very much. It's been an awesome discussion. I will hand over to Anita, and I think Anita will hand over to Sonny for the final wrap. Oh, I don't know. So Anita, is it you or Dr. Sonny?
It's probably me.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Let's welcome Anita. Is one of the powerful teammates and been helping bring this together. Thank you very much, Anita. Please go ahead and make it happen. Thank you for the meeting.
To start with, thank you to my colleagues. And then I'm also excited to echo what Dr. Chanel said earlier, that we should have at least one woman in each session. And hooray, we have two this time. We're the majority in that sense. So every of our panelists talk about technology one way or another in the session. So basically, I think technology and other innovations have changed the way that we think and live, and continually changing that, even with our communication with one another in the world. We are all very acutely impacted by the evolving environment, the global economic development, as well as geopolitics. So in order to stay, I think, relevant, it is so important that we continue to learn. So today's discussion, making education vocational for greater employability, is extremely timely. So on behalf of the Academy, I would like to once again thank you to our very wonderful thought leaders, Mrs. Osime, Professor Sharma, and Dr. Watters. And of course, also a very big thank you to all of you who take out time from your very busy schedule to attend this, I call it information-filled 90-minute session. For now, it's a wrap. And our team's looking forward to seeing you again in our next event, probably in a couple of months. So stay tuned. Now I'm passing the mic back to our wonderful moderator colleague, Remy. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will not close this event except Dr. Sune have to do a wrap on this, and then we'll take pictures and then we can go. Thank you, Dr. Sune. Over to you.
I don't think, Remy, we need to wrap up anything. There has been a wonderful discussion. So Anita has already thanked all the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, so what we're going to do now is to have a group photograph, just like we come for a conference or we come for seminar. We need to take group photographs. So let's everybody on. Let's on all our cameras. Let me remove the pen. All our cameras on. Everybody on your camera, and then let me also make myself out of the pen. Okay, good. Everybody on your camera, except you are in a compromised state. Except you are in a compromised state that we don't want to see. Except that if you are in a good position, if you get a wall, just do the wall as a background. And then, okay, for those who are not on their camera, we can understand. But if you can, I want you to say thank you to all the speakers. Then we're going to take the picture. So can we do thank you to all our speakers, Professor, Professor Sharma. So everybody on your mic and say thank you to all our speakers. Then I'll take
Thank
picture.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our
to the
speakers.
speakers.
So much,
Thank
Remy.
you.
So much, Dr.
Thank you
Paul.
so much, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank
Okay,
you,
don't
everyone.
go yet. Don't go yet. Don't go yet. So that's just a thank you one. So now I want everybody to now smile to the camera. I'm ready for this now. Smile to the camera. This picture will go global. We're going to send it to United Nations to let them know those experts that discuss on this. All right, can we smile? Are you sure your camera is good, everybody? But when I say 1, 2, you smile to the camera. 1, 2.
Huh?
Let me check if it's good.
Can't access the camera on it.
Do you want to do it again? Okay, that's not bad, but let's do it again. We want to smash the camera. Good. All right.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. I think we've done a good job today. I said thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Bye from this end.
Bye. Cheers. Thanks for a great session.
Bye. God bless. Bye.
Keep well.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mr. Smith. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Carolyn from Canada. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for coming. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Shepard. Thank you, everybody, for coming around. We're going to send message to you for the next event very soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Professor Barnett. Thank you.
So much, Remy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.